Thank you for joining us. With us today is Jim Iyoob, the Chief Customer Officer at Etech Global Services and a CX Hall of Fame member. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, so thanks so much for having me, man. I really appreciate it. This is gonna be a fun day today.
Absolutely, and I'm glad you have some time to join us. I've never talked to a CX Hall of Fame member, so why don't we start off there? Tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and your path to achieving that goal.
Yeah, so it's a long path. So I'm old, by the way. I started my career, believe it or not, in the '90s as a call center agent for Dun and Bradstreet way back in the days, and my boss at the time, Matt Rocco, um, I remember meeting him. I was an agent. I was a nobody, and he brought me into his office and says, "What do you want to do?" I had no idea who he was. I just knew it was a big office and it was this, you know, intimidation. And I'm like, well, geez, your job looks pretty good. I'd love to have your job someday. And for whatever reason, this guy took me under his wing and literally mentored me at my career at Dun and Bradstreet. Long story short, he came down to Texas in 2000 to run what is Etech today. And I remember, you could tell I'm not from Texas, I'm from Pennsylvania. And he said, hey, I'm moving to Nacogdoches, Texas. And I said, where's that? He says, you'll find out. And then 30 days later, he recruited me to help him run this company. And I was a leader, manager, director, SVP, EVP, all these things throughout. I've been Etech for 24 years, with the same boss for 32. So
Wow.
my career is crazy. But man, it's just lifelong learning. Learn, 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 learn. That's pretty much really what it is. But I really got into the CX space to finish your question is, during my times in me being a manager, being a leader, I said there's got to be a better way. Because in the old days, what you were doing, it just really didn't seem, there had to be a better way. And what I started learning was look at stuff from the consumer perspective, meaning the end customer, versus what we think is the right thing to do. And that's kind of what evolved me into this CX role.
Well, that's amazing. I want to talk a little bit about this Hall of Fame. So, how do you get nominated? How you awarded, and like what feats did you achieve to obtain that?
So it's a great question. So I don't know how you're nominated. I think, and I know Dennis wants to cover you actually nominated me for that. He runs CX in the wild. I think it's because of the content. Because the one thing I talk about in my career is I've been educated, okay, not only by my mentor, but what I've learned a long time ago is to read an article a day, right? And that's kind of what I
Mhm.
do, and I teach people all the time. Read, 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 learn, be an expert. You could be a master in a year if you continue to self-develop. And I think because when I got into this, I started posting my own content,
Mhm.
not to bash anybody else's content, but to say, well, I like what he says here, but disagree with that. Like this, like this. So I started creating my own content. I have over like 280 articles posted on my LinkedIn.
Mhm.
My boss and I, have, Matt Rocco, have published 3 books.
I saw
I
that. That's amazing.
think that's probably why I've also been nominated for top 20 people to follow. I have so many, and it's not about me. It's about the education, right? And I think that's probably why I've been nominated because I'm really trying to educate people. One of my passions is to develop younger people, right?
Mhm.
And I think that's really what makes me go out and say, most of my articles, I think 1 out of 10 probably says, ETAC, click here to learn more. But the
Yeah,
rest are
absolutely.
all is educating people. And I think that's probably why.
Well, that's awesome. I think it's good karma too. You put good stuff out there, you're helping out the world, and the world gives you something back. Let's switch a little bit of gears here. You're an author, you're an expert, you've been doing it for 30 years. What advice would you have for somebody the first 100 days when they step into a leader of CX role?
Yeah, I think that's a good one. So I think that I made this mistake. So I'm guilty of making this mistake. So again, I failed forward. I failed and I've learned lots of things. I think the first thing you need to do is just basically listen. Be a listener. Don't try to go in and fix it. That's one of my problems myself when I was younger. I see something, I gotta fix it. Time will come to fix things. I think the first 100 days, is really absorb, identify, find out, understanding what everything is going on, right? And then once you understand it, build this, what I call a journey board. Like,
Mhm.
where do I want to go? What step do I need to take? Then I like to create, I would recommend to create a compelling vision that actually aligns with the customer, with your organization's mission. So at Etech, we're a servant-led company. That means serving others first. So
Yeah.
everything you do has to actually tie into that mission statement and vision. And then people talk about SMART goals. I'm a big believer in SMART goals, but I take mine a little bit quicker. I
Mhm.
say three. Pick three things, because when you have data, you can do a roadmap for millions of things. Let's pick three and let's try to achieve those small wins first.
Mhm.
And if you have a talented CX and CS team that shares your passion, that's awesome. If you don't have one, you need to create one. And remember, just because they don't know anything doesn't mean they can't learn. Most of the people under me started as agents, and my director today, my SVP, both started as agents, and they're masters
Mhm.
of the domain now because they learn. But if you had a team already, the first thing I would be expecting is they should have the tools they need to actually do their job, right? And again, go with the quick wins. I'm a big believer. Just show little progress, right? I'm getting better here, getting better. The last and probably the most successful thing any CS executive or actually person in the world, because I think you need to communicate. I think
Mhm.
communication is probably one of the biggest areas of opportunity across the world. The more you share, the more you support and the more you gather, the easier it is to get to your long-term initiatives, because you're not supposed to know all the answers. You're
Mhm.
supposed to communicate and take information from others to make you successful. Hope that
Mhm.
answers your question.
It absolutely does, and it dives right into my next question, right? After you've done all of that, soaking it in, listening and communicating, what is your current strategy on, and what do you have planned for the future of your strategy?
Yeah, so I read a lot of books in my career and had tons of mentors. I don't have just one; I have several mentors. A lot of people in the industry are talking about effortless customer experience, which I'm a big believer in. But what I've done is I've defined effortless myself, not what other people tell me. In my
Mhm.
world, how hard is it for me to do business with you? That's my definition of effortless, right?
Yeah.
So I think what I look at in the future now, or the other thing people are talking about, like how he's going to replace all your people. I think that's one of the biggest myths in the industry. We're at a point where AI is enabling humans to be better, right?
Mhm.
It's not replacing people, but empowering them to serve your customer in a better, more efficient way. And when you reduce agent effort, it reduces customer effort. And the holy grail that I think people are missing, it reduces your attrition. Because if you think about the contact center world, which you are in, attrition is a huge opportunity. Well, let's say,
Mhm.
why are they leaving? They hate their boss, they hate the processes, they like they like to be down and all those things that Etech does really well. But at the end of the day, let's make it easy for them to do their job. And
Mhm.
I think that's where the AI is actually helping them. If that helps.
And you bring that into your current your strategies for that. Are you guys currently leveraging AI in any aspects for customer experience?
Everywhere. So I have
Yeah.
AI. I'm analyzing about 4.2 million interactions a month,
Holy
um,
cow.
and using the data. And we can talk about it a little bit later. But like we have data on every. I can tell you what you say about you, your brand, your customer. I can tell you
Mhm.
what the agents are doing wrong. We can tell you what the processes are doing wrong. And that's really where you leverage AI versus letting it become you. Because I'm
Mhm.
not a big fan of bots that aren't programmed correctly. If you've ever
Mhm.
had an experience with a bot that's bad, it's
Yeah.
usually because it was built by somebody in marketing, not to offend the marketing people that are listening to this, but typically they're not in the seat. We like to look at data to create a bot, to create a knowledge base. Because, by the way, if you have all the information and the data, you already know what the top 10 questions are being asked. You already know what your best agents are responding to. Why not build it based on that versus what somebody thinks they should build?
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. I think being the marketing person that's developed these types of bots, you definitely want to start with your frequently asked questions from the customer and answer those,
Yeah.
right? You want to
A
build customer first.
lot of people scrape the website, but goal of it. What just because it's on the website doesn't mean
Yeah.
it's
You got to go to the support calls, right? We had this support
yes.
system, and I pulled all those in because that's what people,
And,
that's what they're
and that's
talking about.
and you're one of the very few that do that. Most, in my experience at least,
Uh-huh.
most of the tech guys build it, right? And by the way, I
Hmm.
love technology. I love my IT guys, but let's be honest, they never take their call day in their life. They never listen
Yeah.
to a call their day in life. We're just looking at, oh, this is what's on our website. And our website is so beautiful. Let's put all this into bots.
Now you guys are working on this really great strategy and you're leveraging tools like AI. How do you measure the success of your customer experience program?
Yeah, so it's a great question. I think this is another opportunity for a lot of people. I think success measurement should always be data driven. At Etech, we outline that vision like we talked about. We identify key metrics that support our vision and our core values. You establish this baseline of where you want to go before implementing the solution. And then you iterate the solution, and then you watch the needle move forward. See, this ensures, because I think the other thing people think about AI and success is it set it and forget it, like Wow Propel's rotisserie. And of course, I'm debating myself.
Showtime Barbecue Grill. I have one of those. Use it all the
So you
time.
remember that.
Yeah.
A lot of the younger people have no idea what I'm talking about when I talk about that.
It's great.
You have to consistently optimize performance, right? So just because you set it, you can't let it go. These things are machines like anything, have to be trained, they have to be optimized, right? And then when you do that, what you will see in the success is we'll see, like, as an example, reduced repeat contacts, maybe less channel switching. So channel switching is big. So when we listen to a lot of these interactions, believe it or not, people are calling and saying, hey, I'm calling you because I was on your website and I tried to do this and I couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
That's a problem with the website. So when you analyze that data, that's a channel switch, right? You can give that data to the web team. Hey, there's some errors on the website. And when you give an IT guy, hey, it happened 404 times this week, that's a problem. Once I get 400 times, no. And then the other one we looked at is voice of customer sentiment. So the reason I talk about voice of customer sentiment is a lot of people are measuring NPS. And I'm not against surveys, but I can tell you there's 3 reasons people fill out surveys. So above and beyond, physically impossible on every interaction. You upset me so much that I'm going to complain, or you bribe me with a gift card so I can get off that gift card with something you filled out. So a lot of people who use just NPS are missing a lot of the vote because most of them are 4 to 14% response rates.
Yeah.
So we measure it is by analyzing all of that data. We can theoretically put how that interaction was, either a promoter, a detractor, or neutral. And now you have voice of customer sentiment about really what's going on in the world. So there's some of the things that we use to actually measure the success.
Oh, that's awesome. Great. I really love that answer. And I love how you're kind of thinking outside of the normal survey and interview process using your data. I think that's really, really smart. How do you establish partnerships and gain buy-in with the C-suite?
Yeah, so the C-suite, so being a C-suite, I will tell you, I think it's pretty easy that a C-suite would always support the project. I could be wrong, but at least at Etech, we're pretty close-knit family. We're all been here for a long time. I think that's the easy part. I think the harder part, which we're seeing, what I'll call the battle, is to get the buy-in at every level of the organization.
Oh, okay. Would you say that's a pain point you have?
Yeah, that's like, one of the pain points. There's a couple of pain points. So we can talk about both together. So the C-suite gets it. We're trying to push it down, right? The battle is buy-in throughout the whole organization. Some of the pain points, everybody has the data, but is it accessible at every level of the organization, right? Because I think a lot of times teams work in silos. So like ops will get this, training will get this, HR will get this, marketing will get this. So one of the things we've done at Etech is I've actually compiled all of the data into one dashboard. And then each dashboard is created for each one of those business units. So as a pain point, we turned it into a strength. The pain point was ops wasn't popping to training. The data we were giving ops wasn't getting into training. So how do I get these two teams to actually see the data together? Right? So you give them both of it. Because by the way, when you see what's going on in ops, if you give it to training, it can actually improve their training curriculum, if that makes sense, right? And the other thing I would tell you in the C-suite coming down, one of the things we found was, we'll call it skepticism.
Yeah.
Some people are skeptic about the data, and it's not that they're not bought into it, but they're skeptic, and here's why. If you look at old school contact centers, we're listening to a handful of interactions, and we're making all of our data decisions based on that. Once you ingest 100% of the volume in, you do realize it's going to look bad. So when you show them volume, velocity of data, they immediately get defensive because they say, I listened to 3 calls last week and they weren't that bad. Yeah, but we listened to 700. And that's an ongoing battle. Now at Etech, we found to show them, hey, let's teach them why it looks so bad, and explain to them that it's volume and velocity that you're looking at now, which you've never looked at before, and then show them, listen, we're not looking for perfection, we're looking for improvement. And that's probably one of the biggest battles, because by the way, in the call center world, QA and ops are the bone of great heads, right? They always say, you're just telling me what I'm doing wrong. No. We're going to tell you how to fix it there, which is an advantage.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I have one more tough question, and I've got these couple softballs for you. You know, we dabbled on this a little bit, and you were speaking about AI and all these new tools, but I really want you to get on your soapbox and tell me what you think the future of CX is.
So, well, I think the future of CX is loaded. So I'll start with this. Number one, I'm a firm believer that AI is not replacing jobs. And I've written blog after blog about this, and I go against what everybody tells me. Every AI company that has contacted me to sell me has told me, I'm going to reduce your QA staff by 80%. It's a lie. Okay? Because you need human intelligence. And the analogy I will give you is electricity, we can't live without. It did not replace me. Did not replace you. And that's how I look at AI. I think that AI is great. I think it's an enabler. I think the future is they're getting smarter. I just posted an article yesterday on my LinkedIn that you could find, and one of the guys out there was saying about the machine learning, because I talk about human intelligence. I talk about human beings are still needed. He says, no, you have machine learning. And I actually commented back to him and says, you do understand that the machine has to be coded by a human being, right? That's still human intelligence. So I do believe the future, while it's getting better, knowledge bases are more accurate by using data. I believe that bots will be better as they come forward. I think the large language models are being better and better. Like a lot of people are talking about ChatGPT. ChatGPT is okay, but you can also fool it, by the way. There's another one that I use called Claude AI, which I think is better because it has larger language models in it, which actually does better. It's not replacing me, but what it is doing is giving me more time in my day to do more strategic things, because I can use these tools to make me better. And I think that's the future that people have to understand, that it is going to enable you to be better. It's going to enable more jobs in the economy, I think. So to give you an example, before pre-AI, I had about 200 data analysts that we call. I implemented speech analytics and AI. That team has grown to 500,
Oh,
right?
wow.
So because what I'm seeing in the industry, people buy all these tech stacks and don't know how to use them, don't know how to
Hmm.
implement them, and don't know how to get value out of it. So the people business, I think, is going to be much bigger for us. That line of business for me grows at about 10% a month for
Wow.
human beings. Because when you buy these technologies, and another analogy I'll give you, when you buy Word, like just off Word, it's not writing the letter for you. You
Hmm.
still have to do the work. And I think that's the big misconception in the industry. But I think future going to be awesome. I think hopefully before I retire, I will see some machine program itself. People are claiming they can do it. I betted them. I haven't seen them be accurate. I'll
Hmm.
give you an example. I did one with one company who told me it's machine learning. I said, okay, great. Dropped them 1,000 calls. They came back and said I had a 93% CSAT. They said, great job. I said, no. I said, because I gave you 100 agents, or I gave you the subset of agents I gave you were all on performance improvement plans. None of them were at goal, but yet you're telling me they're great. And I said, how'd you get the score?
Hmm.
Oh, it's proprietary. It's a machine learning
Oh,
app.
yeah.
I go, so if I don't know that it's accurate. So that's where I think you still need human beings. I answered your question. I'm not a little
Yeah.
case, but it's
Well, it's
I'm
good.
so passionate about that kind of stuff where they say it's going to replace all my people.
No, I am too. I like the way I look at it is like we're going from like a handsaw to like a bandsaw, right? I'll just be
Yep.
able to, I got to learn a new tool. It's going to make me more efficient and it's going to do a better job at the job. So I think that's how I'm looking at AI and that's how I'm leveraging it every day. It's just enhancing it and making me do what I do better and faster.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I don't think it's going to be replacing at least me, but it could replace copywriters, right? Somebody's still going to have to proofread it, but a lot of that, I guess, that doer work, if you will, where you got to sit down and knock out repetitive tasks, I think it could really make more efficient.
Well, I can tell you this though: some of those bot things are incorrect, or some of them
Oh
the
yeah.
AI are incorrect. Because my daughter, to give you a live example, my daughter works for me. She's
Hmm.
using ChatGPT to go through a course,
Hmm.
and it's a data scientist course. And ChatGPT gave her the wrong answer. She
Oh
gave
man.
me the answer to the question, and she said, "Dad," of course, that's my daughter. She's like, "Dad,"
Yeah.
she's like, I got the answer from ChatGPT, but I scored it wrong. I sent it
Hmm.
to my MIT graduate, data scientist
Hmm.
degree, and he said that's the wrong answer.
Yeah, yeah, I believe it. They're just sourcing the internet, and people have been
Correct.
making stuff up on the internet forever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good
that makes a
point.
lot of sense.
Just because it's on the internet doesn't mean it's true.
Exactly, exactly. They need one that's like built by Britannica or something, so it's backed by like an encyclopedia you can trust, and not what random people are saying. All right, well, I got the last question for you is, what else should we know about you? Tell us about you, your company, and how can we follow your career?
Yeah, so great. So first of all, I'm pretty standard normal guy. I like to cook. I'm a sushi chef. I'm a master chef. I love to cook. Um, I'm really other than that, I'm passionate about helping others. That's one of my passions. Um, I was fortunate in my career that I told you my boss took a liking for me for whatever reason. People say we've been together 32 years. One of us will say he can't get rid of me. The other one says, but
That
my
happens.
point is, I think I've learned so much in the career. And I just want to do that. That's why I put so much content. If you follow me on LinkedIn, um, I have my own blog. I put out a newsletter once a month. I put out content once a week. It's Jim Iyoob at LinkedIn. There's not a lot of Iyoobs out there. I can tell you that. Very easy to find me. As
Mhm.
far as Etech, our website is Etech Global Services. It's etechgs.com. We have a podcast. Love to have you, Ben, on one of our
That'd
podcasts.
be great. I love it.
We have a dean of leadership development. Her only job at Etech, we have 10 call centers, 3,600 employees in 3 countries. Her team's only job is to develop leaders. And she has
Hmm.
a coffee talk podcast. Love for you to be a partner. I'll
That'd be
connect with her.
fantastic. Yeah.
Because what we're trying to do, the rewards that we've had in our careers, let's help others. And I
Hmm.
know me being a young guy at one time, if you're a new manager and you don't know the answer that your boss is asking you, you're probably not going to admit that because of the way we're built, right? But the way our DNA works. So we try to do educational podcasts, kind of like what you and I just did today, to help others. We want young people to be the future. I told you my daughter, she works in my organization. I want to retire in 5 years, but I want to make sure the person can actually get the job. So let's train them over the time. So that's just a little bit about me. Real passionate. Connect with me on LinkedIn. If you want to see my sarcasm bent, Facebook and Instagram is where I put all my sarcastic posts out. I do take what I do seriously, but I don't take myself seriously. So I like to have fun too.
That's good. That's good. Well, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for chatting. And until next time.
Thank you so much.